Welcome back to the Pylon Cam YouTube channel. I am your host, Mike, and you are now entering the Week 14 Power Rankings video. Just kidding. But if there's any Twilight Zone fans out there, you got that reference. Anyway, we have our Week 14 Power Ranking video. I just want to preface this, as always. I try not to move teams that were on a bye, because I think that's like kind of dumb to have any team move up or down because they didn't play football. But teams that do move up or down may slide the teams on bye around. So it does happen. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're new, I try not to overreact. That is like the biggest thing that goes into these videos for me. Like, I try to first analyze the matchup, how they played, what they did well, if they played to their strengths, how well did they play to their strengths, if not, how poorly did they play. So that's pretty much the gist of it. I will say, though, this has probably been the hardest week for any of this type of video to rank these teams, because it felt like a lot of teams that were supposed to win won, and a lot of teams that were not supposed to win lost. And I don't know, I just feel like there was a lot of close games too, so it was just a really weird week. At least it felt like it. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into the power rankings. First, this is like the first movement we've had in the bottom 30 or 29 since like week 4. But we have the Houston Texans moving down a spot, previously 31. They just got blown out by the Colts, and I mean, they scored 0 points, so we're not going to talk too much about the Texans. You know, if you watch our power rankings video, and if you're watching this video and you're a Texans fan, what do you think they should do with the number 2 overall pick? Personally, I think you trade it. But if you do keep it, a lot of people are saying go in line instead of Thibodeau, because I've been mocking Aiden Hutchinson first overall. But let me know in the comments what you think the Texans should take at number 2. But we're not going to talk too much about the Texans. Sorry, Texans fans. Coming in at rank 31, previously 30, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, they played the Rams. Not too much to say. It's just they're going to get outclassed in that matchup. James Robinson has been banged up. They haven't been able to run the ball as much as they want, and you're definitely not going to be able to run the ball super effectively against the Rams. But yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk too much about the Jaguars. I wanted to put them at number 1, but I didn't because I'm a coward. No. We have the Detroit Lions. They got their first win. They finally got it. Dan Campbell finally got his first win. They upset the Vikings, too. And it's so funny because if there was a team to lose to the Lions, the Vikings would be in my top 3 of teams to lose. My top 3 would probably be the Vikings, the Giants, or the Raiders. Like, I feel like those 3 teams would definitely choke against the Lions. But anyway, Lions finally got their first win. Good for them. Next team. Previously ranked 29. Still ranked 29. The New York Jets. They just lost to the Eagles. They lost to backup quarterback Gardner Minshew. I love Minshew. I think we're going to talk about him when we get to the Eagles. But for the Jets, is there much to talk about? Zach Wilson's still Zach Wilson, going to go through the growing pains. He's going to turn the ball over. But, this defense, I understand it has holes, but I just feel like it shouldn't be this bad. Under Robert Saleh, I feel like it should not be this bad. I think they just need to keep doing what they're doing, which I have said in the past, and I commend them for doing it. Just run the ball and pressure the quarterback, because at the end of the day, that is your best chance at winning. Let Zach Wilson throw the ball, but I wouldn't ask him to throw more than 25 times if I'm the GM. I want him to, learn to hit his checkdowns. There's been multiple reports that, Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson have had conversations about playing boring football, and I just don't think that is in Zach Wilson's DNA to play boring football. So we'll see how it turns out. I just think I'm a huge believer in Joe Douglas. So and honestly, I think with Robert Saleh and how much success he was a part of with the 49ers, I believe they're in good hands. I think they're going to be way more competitive than people realize. I just think it's gonna take a little bit, and I'm very skeptical of the quarterback. If you've followed this podcast, this YouTube channel, anything since preseason, I'm very skeptical of the quarterback. But anyway, Stuff about the Jets. Previously ranked 28, still ranked 28. The Carolina Panthers. I think their season's over. I said that last week. Like it's just done. I said that in the podcast episode. McCaffrey's gone. Cam Newton is like. He kind of just reminds me of one of those like inflatable, like those inflatable men at like car dealerships that like wave their arms like this. Like he's a huge body. But, like, that's as useful as his arm is. It just flails around, and he can't complete a pass to save his life. It's crazy because it's like a 5-7 team that has a better record than some of the teams above them. But they're not. I don't think they're going to win more than 2 games the rest of the season. I don't know what their remaining schedule looks like. But McCaffrey's gone. You don't really have a quarterback. And your O-line is poop. So, I don't know how many games your defense will win you down the stretch, especially in that conference. That division. So, I don't know. I don't know what the Panthers. They're just done. Previously, ranked 21, moving all the way down to rank 27, New York Giants. Here's why I moved it. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not an overreaction type person, and I'm not moving them this slow based really on any of their performance metrics. Well, hold up. That's a lie. That's not what I meant. But going into the game, they have a backup quarterback in Mike Glennon, and you kind of expect, like, all right, it's Mike Glennon. Like, how much damage could the Giants do in this game? But the amount of deficiencies this team has all over the place, primarily at like this is no secret, but at offensive line and at coach. Joe Judge is calling timeouts with 6 seconds left in the quarter, and then he's calling timeouts on 2nd and 23 to avoid a delay of game penalty. Like, people want to point the finger at Daniel Jones. This team, like, I can make the argument they win that game with Daniel Jones if you watched it. But without Daniel Jones, you see how top to bottom this team is, and that's why I moved them so low, because they suck. Their defense is good, but man, they just suck. Like, they are a disaster. They are so bad. They are so bad. Anyways, coming in at rank 26, previously ranked 23, I have the Chicago Bears. The reason why I moved them down is, they kept the game competitive against the Cardinals for a little bit, right? But the reason I moved them down is because you have a quarterback in Andy Dalton who throws 4 interceptions. Against the good Cardinals defense, to his credit. But then, enter Justin Fields, who just got cleared to play this week and is now the starter. The inexperience of Justin Fields and the cheese doodle that is Andy Dalton, I don't see much of a difference this year. So for me, the teams that I have above the Bears, I think would beat the Bears because they're not going to make as many mistakes. I could argue that the Giants should be above the Bears, but the rumor has it Daniel Jones is out for the entirety of the rest of the season. So if that's the case, good luck, New York Giants. Anyways, coming in at rank 25, previously ranked 26, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have advocated and supported Mike Tomlin all year long. But here's where I'm only moving them up one spot. It is almost certain that they beat the Ravens every time they play. And they did. They were an inch. I mean, football is a game of inches, but they were literally an inch of losing that game in the last seconds. With Lamar Jackson just continuing to turn the ball over. I have no idea what's good with him, but continuing to turn the ball over. I don't know, man. I just don't believe in the Steelers. I believe in Mike Tomlin. I believe in their defense, even though it's been taking some steps back throughout the year. I know it's been banged up, but it's really just Big Ben. 1 week he comes in this week and he looks like a serviceable, good quarterback, making big throws. Then the next week he literally looks like a tree, just a traffic cone in the pocket who if he takes 2 steps, he trips over his own feet, and that'll be against the Lions. How do you beat the Ravens and then tie the Lions? I don't get this team, man. It doesn't make sense. I just don't understand it. I just do not understand it. Coming in at rank 24, previously 25, I have the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons lost to the Bucks, but they did put up 17 points on them. It was points scored, I guess, was kind of inflated because Tom Brady threw a pick six on like the 2-yard line, but still, you have to count it. It still counts in the record books. The score is what the score is. But this team really should just think about changing their names to the Atlanta Cordero Pattersons, because without Cordero Patterson, this team is as useful as those thong sandals without the thong. He is like the whole backbone of this team. He is their whole offense. Matt Ryan, like, love Matty Ice, but, like, he shot. Russell Gage looks good, but, like, their defense, they can't generate a pass rush to save their life. They couldn't stop a nosebleed in the run game, and they just, like, they have, like, I really think if we're talking about MVP, like, most valuable player, those three words, it is Cordero Patterson. Like, he is the whole entire Atlanta Falcons offense, which is wild. Who would have thought going into 2020? Well, I mean, it makes sense we're in the 2020s, but going into 2021, you would be saying to yourself, Cordero Patterson should be in the MVP conversation. He's been in the league for, like, years, and nobody's talked about him. Actually, in, like, our fantasy, like, content, I said that at the beginning of the year, Cordero Patterson would be the best waiver wire pickup all year. And I was right. Like, I didn't think I'd be this right, but I was right. Just primarily not having any faith in Cordero Patterson's athletic ability. It was more in my doubt with Mike Davis. But, like, I forget the whole point of why I said that, but I don't know, man. Cordero Patterson's a freak. I don't know. Coming in at rank 23, previously 24, I have the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, to me, like, I could argue if they have Jameis Winston, they could win that game, but I also could argue if they have Jameis Winston, they lose that game. I could definitely argue if they have Alvin Kamara, they win that game. Taysom Hill threw 4 interceptions. Taysom Hill looked like when you play Madden with your little brother and he's playing as Lamar Jackson. Like, you just run around, throw a pick. Run around, throw a pick. Run around, throw a pick. Like, that was the whole game. You take those picks out of the game, the Saints are so well coached that they almost beat the Cowboys without their best player in Alvin Kamara, with their third string quarterback at Taysom Hill. Like, like, the Saints to me are wild. They are just a wild football team. Coming in at rank 22, previously 22, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Jets with Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania. I was hyped. If you follow the Twitter, like, I was tweeting all about Minshew when I saw that Hurts wasn't getting the start. I think, like, from all the reports and all the press conferences, it seemed like Jalen Hurts felt good enough to play. Like, he kept saying, like, I'm going to play. I really think the front office was like, sit him. Let's see what Gardner Minshew could do. And I would argue that this team looked better with Gardner Minshew. I know it completely it goes against their identity of running the football, but it didn't at all, actually, because they were completely able to open up the passing game, which they just cannot do with Jalen Hurts. And I to my credit, I think I've been very fair, fair with Jalen Hurts in any time I talk about him. In any video we're talking about, I've been very fair with Jalen Hurts. But, like, the reality of it is they can't attack vertically. Like, they can't stretch the field, not because they don't have the personnel, but they don't have an accurate quarterback. And Gardner Minshew finished that game. Yes, it was against the Jets. Yes, the Jets game planned. I mean, it doesn't matter who the Jets game planned for. But the Jets did game plan for Jalen Hurts. They got Gardner Minshew. He was 21 for 25, which is ridiculous. And he had 2 touchdowns. And, like, why I'm saying they didn't go against their identity is because Miles Sanders had the best game of this season. He had 120 yards rushing. So, I think rushing. But he definitely had 120 yards. But they were able to attack through the passing game more and confidently. And they were able to still run the ball effectively. Yes, it was against the Jets. I understand that. But I am saying, given this small sample size, they still were able to put up their normal when they play bad teams, around 30 points. But this time it was different. Like, they were able to do other things. So I would keep an eye on the Eagles. They're definitely in this playoff race. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I was Nick Sirianni or if I was I forget their GM's name. If I was Jeffrey Lurie, I don't know. I don't know if I say, like, let's ride the hot hand and just play Gardner Minshew. Because you're one game out, right? You're one game actually out from not the division, right? You're one game out. No, you're 2 games out of the division. 2.5. Like, if you lose a game, you're done. If Jalen Hurts has a bad game and you still win, then it's like, all right, let's just try Gardner Minshew. There's nothing to lose. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Eagles. I have not known what to make of the Eagles all season long. But what I do know and what I have learned is Nick Sirianni is a good coach. Like, he may not be in that elite category like with Brandon Staley, like of the new head coaches, but he has done a phenomenal. Like, he turned what was supposed to be a throwaway year for the Eagles into a competitive year. So, like, got to give credit where credit's due. Ranked 21, previously 27. I have the Seattle Seahawks, and like Mike, you said you weren't going to overreact, but it's hard not to overreact to this, and I don't really think I am overreacting. And here's my logic of, like, did any of us really think Seattle with Russell Wilson would be a bottom 8 team for the whole season? No. Like, that's just, no. Doesn't matter what Pete Carroll does. Doesn't matter how much gum Pete Carroll chews. Doesn't matter if Russ is cooking ramen freaking noodles. We know they're going to be a somewhat competitive team. They're not making the playoffs this year, but they're not a bottom 8 team, so long as they have Russell Wilson, and I would argue so long as they have Pete Carroll, because he's better than that. How high do they go is the question, because I think usually I have to look at the record, but I'm pretty confident Russell Wilson like owns Kyle Shanahan, and I could be completely wrong with that. But I'm pretty confident Seattle always beats the 49ers. Like, I'm pretty confident in that. And, like, the Niners, to their credit, they were what, on like they're on like they were on a 3-game win streak, I think. They were 3-1. They were 3-1 through their past 4. And they just dropped one. They dropped one to Seattle. They were missing Deebo Samuel. It's just that was a game where, like, you kind of expect the Niners to lose. But are the Niners a bad team because they lost to Seattle? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I don't know. Like Seattle is not a bottom 8 team, but I don't know how high they go. I hope that makes sense. Coming in at rank 20. Previously 15, the Minnesota Vikings. I am so tired of this team. Like, I'm so sick and tired of the Minnesota Vikings because I have defended them saying that they're way better than their record, and then they do shit and lose to the Lions. Like, it's like every time I support something, they have to turn around and go, let me do the dumbest thing I possibly can do. That is exactly what the Vikings did, and now I hope they don't win a game for the rest of the season. I'm so sick of them. I'm so sick and tired of them. Hold up. What does this say? All right, Ryan Fitzpatrick is out for the season. Who cares? The Vikings. I'm so sick and tired of them. They got to rebuild. They're a mediocre team. They're I think if I was a franchise, I would rather be bad for a few years than be like average for 10 years. Because if I'm bottom of the barrel for let's say 5 years, 4 years, hopefully we find a GM who could turn it around fast enough. But if I'm just consistently average, I'm never going to get good draft capital. I'm never going to bring in free agents. I'm going to just continue to do everything that keeps me average. And that is the Minnesota Vikings, to a T. They are just the most average franchise. They're just so, and that's the thing, too, about the importance of getting the coach right. How do you have Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Danielle Hunter, and all these superstars and still lose as many games as you do? That is just pathetic. It's, pathetic. Anyway, I'm so sick of the Vikings. So sick of the Vikings. Previously 19, staying at 19, I have the Miami Dolphins. I get it. They are on a tear. They've won so many games. Mike, how could you have them at 19? They're on a 5-game winning streak. Yeah, okay, yes, they have one impressive win over the Ravens, but they just beat a freaking giraffe and Mike Glennon. They beat the Panthers with Cam Newton, who completed 5 passes and 3 interceptions. The Jets, and I forget the other one. But my point is, they're like beating bad teams. Like I get it, like good teams beat bad teams. But one of the things that I stressed at the beginning of the video, and I can't, like think about it now, like when I'm talking about the Dolphins, how did they play the competition? They should, if they were a good team, they blow out Mike Glennon. Like they blow out the Giants. 20-19 isn't even a 2-touchdown difference. Like if the spread to that game should have been more than -9, -7.5. It should have been like. For instance, the Chargers are playing the Giants this week, and the spread is I think it's -14.5. Or it's maybe 11. If it's 11, I'm 100% taking that bet. But that's my point. Like Vegas does not have confidence yet in the Dolphins, and like frankly, I don't either. Like I do not have confidence in the Dolphins yet. Anyways, coming in at rank 18, previously 18, the Browns, they were on a bye. It's kind of upsetting because I usually talk a lot about the Browns. But it's funny is that I'm always going to find a way to talk about Baker Mayfield. It's funny that Browns fans are now commenting in the mock draft for whoever I take, no, let's take a quarterback. I think that is hysterical because I feel like I have been the freaking train driver, the conductor, I don't know what he's called, but I've been the train driver on the Baker Mayfield is trash train. This dude is a poop sandwich and a half. And the fact that you are not going to make the playoffs and you might finish last in the division to Ben Roethlisberger, who has 1.5 kneecaps and is immobile as a tree stump. Like, bro, I am sorry. I have said this so many times throughout the season. And Browns fans, if you are out there listening to this, you 100% can agree. You have one of the best rosters in football, and Baker Mayfield is still playing average. How do you play average with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, in the best offensive line in football? Like, how is that humanly possible? You had Odell Beckham. You blamed Odell Beckham, and look, you're still trash. You have Jarvis Landry, who you can't throw the ball to. You're still trash. Kareem Hunt's dad is calling you out. You are still trash. Like, Baker Mayfield it should be ball and chain Mayfield. Like that is how ball and chain field. That is how hard this kid is holding back the Browns. Like it's disgusting. Because as someone who grew up and the Browns were always trash, and now there's like a chance where the Browns could be good, and this stupid, arrogant Napoleon syndrome dude is holding them back. Like, bro. I would love to hear someone defend Baker Mayfield. Oh my God, Mike! But Mike, don't you realize he's playing with a banged up shoulder and he has about 16 other injuries when he's not filming commercials? Like, brother, it is week 14 in the NFL. Do you think people are playing at 100%? No. Do you think people have just as many injuries as Baker Mayfield? Yes. Why do we know so much about how hurt Baker Mayfield is? Is because he can't go to a freaking press conference without saying, gosh, like, man, my shoulder out there and my legs and he can't help himself but bring up every excuse in the entire universe. And any bad, I literally looked out for this in week 13 and he did it. He actually freaking did it. Anytime Baker Mayfield makes a bad play, he will reach for a part of his body, on God. Like, makes a bad throw, falls to, screws up a handoff somehow, grabs something. Like, the dude is just, he's so fake. Like, you are such a fake, he's the most overrated player in the entirety of the NFL. I don't care. We're not going to talk about it anymore. Coming in at 17, previously 16, at the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't understand. This is all I'm going to say about the Raiders. I don't understand how you go out and beat the Cowboys and lose to the Washington. That makes no sense to me. Coming in at rank 16, previously ranked 20, Washington. Washington has been playing great, and I'm not going to front and be like, oh, I love Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke's balling. But what I will say is I have definitely been a critic of Taylor Heineke, and he has been balling. Like, that dude, I said this in the podcast, you could go 4-13 as a quarterback. If all of your wins are in primetime, you will have my respect. This kid shows up in primetime, and the defense is finally back. So, you know what's interesting, too, is I don't know if this is, a direct correlation of them changing their defensive game plan, but they have been playing better since Chase Young tore his ACL. I don't know if they were just trying to force their defensive scheme around Chase Young, creating opportunities for Chase Young to get sacks, but they just look more well balanced on every part, like in the secondary, everywhere. Like they just look more balanced everywhere. But anyway, coming in at rank 15, previously 17, I have the Denver Broncos. I know they lost, but again, like this is a team super competitive, and like I made this point last week in this video in our Week 13 power rankings, and I think it's the same. Like the point still remains of like the difference between probably team. I don't have my sheet in front of me of which team, like where this is going to start, but I would say from team 14 or 13 up is consistency. Like that is like the biggest difference between these two. Not right, like categories, but like if it was like from going from right to left, like the poop sandwiches, the sandwiches with crust on them, a nice little burger, and then a premier steak on the left. I know I just did that because OBS is mirroring me, so I just did it backwards, but you get my point. Like, if we're looking at the nice cheeseburgers, sometimes someone screws up the order and puts a cheese on a cheeseburger and when you want it a hamburger. Like that is the consistency I'm talking about with these teams. I would say the most consistent team before we get to team 13 is Washington. Like they have been for 5 weeks now, very consistent. I think 5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. 4 weeks. But anyway, Broncos, they just get owned by the Chiefs. Like they're like 0-12 against the Chiefs the past 12 times. That's 3 years of games, I think. No, that is 6 years of games. I don't know, man. Like, they just can't play. Like, Javonte Williams couldn't have been more right about a player all year. Javonte Williams looks like an absolute god. 170 yards, 172 total yards. So, basically, all of their yards on offense. But their defense, man, like, their defense shows up and then it doesn't. Like, it doesn't make sense of, like, how their secondary some days, like some weeks people are like, they have the best secondary football. Then other weeks they just get freaking gashed. Like they just get torched all over the place. It makes no sense. Because like they have, like, this is where I'm talking about the consistency. Like I get it, the Chiefs have a good offense, but they have shut down good offenses before. They shut down the Cowboys. Like that's my point of like two very good offenses. The Broncos absolutely close out one of them and then suck against another one. So I don't know what to make with the Broncos. Coming in at rank 14, previously 14, the 49ers. I just think that, like, they played a good game. They're missing their most important player in Deebo Samuel. Elijah Mitchell went into concussion protocol. I think he finished the game, though, but, like, he usually sees, like, 27, 28 touches a game. He only had 20, which could make it. That could be the difference of, like, 40 yards, potentially. But I don't know, man. I think they need to get Deebo back, and they're going to be all right. I think they're still a very good team. They're good at stopping the run. I guess there's just, like, I don't know, man. They just had a hiccup. Like I'm giving grace to the Niners. This was just a hiccup week. So we're gonna leave it at that. Coming in at 13, previously 13, Tennessee Titans. They were on a bye. Julio Jones is coming back. So that's cool. I don't know how much that affects this game, like this team, though, because they're not built to pass the ball. Ryan Tannehill is having a bad year. Like, he's having a down year. Nobody wants to talk about it. And I get players are hurt, but he was having bad performances when A.J. Brown and Julio Jones were healthy. So, like, I'm not going to give him that slack because he showed that when they were healthy, he still sucked. Like, I don't think Ryan Tannehill sucks as a quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. But he is having a down year. And I feel like it's pretty, like, that's a pretty fair take on the Titans. Like, if you're comparing Tannehill from the AFC Championship year, last year, and this year, like, the first 2 years, he was a completely different quarterback. Like, completely different. Coming in at rank 12, previously 11, the Bengals. So, I was right about the Bengals in that when they can run the ball, they'll win games, and when they can't, they'll lose games. It's no knock on Joe Burrow. They just, when their offense is balanced, it makes it much more potent. And when they were starting to come back into that game, Joe Mixon was finding his groove. And once Joe Mixon came out of that game with a neck injury, they just died. Like, the game, all their momentum died. So I like the Bengals. I don't know if they'll win their division, but, like, they're very, like, they could definitely make some noise in the playoffs. I think their biggest need is run blocking. Like, they need to They need to get offensive linemen who they could cycle into run block because they've shocked everybody with pass protection. No doubt. But when it comes to run blocking, they are so, like, I've seen so many times where Joe Mixon has like 20, like an absurd amount of carries, like 27 carries, and has less than 100 yards. Like, that is like, that's nuts. Because that's not on Joe Mixon. Because we've seen, especially the past few weeks, Joe Mixon is a baller. Like, that dude can run the rock. But when the line isn't blocking for him, that's when, like, they started to incorporate him in the passing game and just get him into open space. Because when he has the ball in space, he's very deadly. Like, very deadly. So that's the thing with the Bengals. Like, they gotta, hopefully he's not out for a while. He might miss this week, but I think the Bengals have like a pretty, let me look it up because I have the schedules pulled up. I think the Bengals have a pretty favorable matchup this week with that. Oh, no, they're playing the Niners. That's going to be a good game. Anyways, going back to the power rankings. Been doing a lot of mocks. Rank 11, previously ranked 12, I have the Chargers. This is this is the most inconsistent team that is just outside the top 10 or into the top 10. Some weeks they're like, wow, they're going to win the AFC Championship. Then other weeks, like, you're like, all right, it's a young team. They're going to have hiccups. This was a week where, like, it's like, dang, the Chargers could win the AFC Championship with a sophomore coach, or win the AFC with a sophomore coach, a sophomore quarterback and a rookie coach. But then other weeks it's like, are y'all okay? You can't do it. It seems like they just don't do anything right some weeks. So, like, for a playoff team, I think the most important thing for playoff teams is consistency. That's why I'm nervous about the Chargers, because they have more of a hot and coldness to them than the Bengals, because the Bengals could win games if Joe Burrow is balling out. But the inconsistency with them is in the run blocking game. Like, if they can't run block for Mixon, their win percentage in my book, like, drops like a lot, probably about 10-15%. But if they can run the ball, it increases 10 to 15%. So I don't know, man. I think the Bengals probably have a better playoff chance than the Chargers. But coming in at rank 10, I have the Rams. They just blew out the Jaguars, but, like, this is their first win in, let's look, because I actually don't even know. This is their second win in the last 5 games. And they seem to be just like that. They're like the NFC Bills. They only beat bad teams. Like, they only beat teams below 500. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm scared for the Rams. Like, I actually truly am scared for the Rams. I think they need to go back to what made them a good team, and that is play action pass, pre-snap motion, rolling the pocket. They don't do that with Stafford. They just realize, like, by week 3, wow, if Matt Stafford takes a 3-step drop and throws as far as he can, Cooper Kupp will catch it. They can't do that anymore. And Robert Woods, who was their safety blanket, is gone. So I don't know if we're seeing in the NFL that we're, like, finding out that these all-star teams are not as good as teams with consistency. That's my, like, that is, I said this in our waiver wire video. I don't take analytics and trends as gospel, but it is valuable information. And the trend with the Bills and the Rams is they struggle against 500 teams. And the teams that are beating them, there's one key difference between the Bills as to why they're losing and why the Rams are losing. And for the Rams, there is no consistency. With other teams that are around them, like pretty much every team above them, there is a lot of consistency, even with the Bills. The reason why the Bills lose to below 500 teams is different, and we'll talk about that when we get to them. But coming in at rank 9, previously ranked 10, I got the Colts. I don't know, man. I love the Colts. They're my dark horse to win the AFC. My brother is huge. Like, me and him, I'll give him credit. Him, because I know he wants to hear it. Him more than me, even though it's not true. I'm just kidding. Him more than me has been on the Colts. But we have both picked them to win the AFC South this year. And I really think they would have, and I still think they might. What are they, a game out? Yeah, they're game out. Game and a half out. Because Titans are the Colts haven't had their bye yet. The Colts had the hardest first 5 weeks of the season of any of the 32 teams, and they have been on fire. On fire since they kind of got out of those tough games, and they've become better. They are a better team. And this is the thing too, like we're in it. We live in a world in the NFL where it is an aggressive offensive league. Frank Reich might be one of the best gamblers in the league when it comes to fourth down and going for it. Like going for it on fourth down and going for it on fourth and goal. He just like, I don't know what his percentage of success is, but it's got to be high. Like it has to be above 60, 70%, which is nuts. Because you are playing a football game essentially with an extra down when you're not in the red zone, and you're playing it with an extra chance to score 7 than other teams are. Your point differential is just so much higher. Like the potential is so much higher. I think the Colts are. I think I think I kind of lowballed the Colts, putting them at 9, and they're going to be on a bye, so they're not going to move. But I think the Colts are a very good football team. I think they're. I'm telling you, they're going to make the wild card if they don't make the win the division, and they are going to upset some people. Like they're going to make some noise, I swear. And then coming in at rank 8, previously ranked 7, I had the Bills. This is why the Bills are struggling, if you want me to be honest with you. And I think that even though it might have been the most, if this video is as boring as the game was on Monday night, then this is the most boring video to ever be posted on YouTube. What did the Patriots do against a team that is top of the league in run defense and pass rush and secondary? Like the Bills are the best defense in the NFL, whether we want to admit it or not. They in every category that matters: takeaways, sacks, run defense, pass defense, yards allowed per game. Like they are the top. They're the cream of the crop. But what can't they do? They cannot run the ball. They cannot run the ball outside of the red zone to save their lives. Like their best running option is Josh Allen. And if your quarterback is your best running option, you can't run him as much as you'd like to. Look at the Giants. Daniel Jones might be out of the season because Saquon Barkley is averaging 2 yards per carry, and Daniel Jones doesn't know how to slide. And now he could be having season-ending neck. Mike Glennon should just give him some of his neck. Anyways. But yeah, like if the Bills cannot run the ball, and this is why, like, I am never a fan of drafting a running back high, like first round. But if I'm the Bills, like, let's look at the landscape of the NFL. Who could we potentially land coming off of their contracts? Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Might be what's his face? Marlon Mack, even though he's no stud. Marlon Mack. Melvin Gordon, who would be all right. It's just the injury issue. Miles Sanders. I think that's pretty much everybody I'd want. Yeah. Oh, is James Robinson? No, James Robinson has 1 more year on his rookie contract. Anyways, the point remains, until the Bills can run the ball, that is what's going to lose them games. Because when you can't run the ball effectively, you don't create shorter downs. Like, you don't create a short second down. You don't create a short third down. And you cannot control the clock. That is, like, people don't, like, to me, if I was a GM, if I was a coach, if I was building a team, what I would want, with everything else, kind of exactly how the Browns are built, but I would never draft Baker Mayfield. I would want a great O-line. We're just talking offense. I would first build the O-line, because that makes everybody better. And then I would want to be able to run the rock. Like, that to me is what makes the Patriots threw the ball 3 times. And they won that game against a high-flying, super-powered Bills pass offense. Like, that, if you want a better example, like, this is the thing. People feel like they got to reinvent the wheel. If I was a coach, I would follow exactly what Bill Belichick does. Because he's the best. There's no point to do anything different. Anyways, it's enough. It's enough from me before I get hot. Coming in at rank 7, previously ranked 8, moving them up a peg, I had the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is coming off of a big win. I forget who they beat. So let me just pull it up real quick. They beat the Saints. And Zeke is hurt. I think what we're kind of learning about the Cowboys is Dak can throw the ball 35 times a game if he wants to. That's not the problem. But when you're only able to successfully throw the ball 35 times a game and you can't run it, if you don't have that threat of Zeke catching a ball in the flat and taking off, or Tony Pollard catching the ball in the flat, taking off, defenses are able to sit back on it and know that it's not going to them. Or if they can't run the ball, it's the Saints. They have a good run defense, so let's not downplay this. It just makes it easier for teams to neutralize the Cowboys, if that makes sense. I don't think the Cowboys are in any sort of jeopardy. I just think they're kind of moving towards that category of, let's get healthy. Jerry Jones, so weird. You pretty much have the playoffs clinched whether you win the division or not. But why are you going to rush Zeke back? What's the point? Just let him chill out. Pollard is a better back right now anyway. Let Zeke chill because it's still Ezekiel Elliott. Teams are going to respect Ezekiel Elliott coming out of the backfield. I don't know, man. I think coaches and owners and GMs just do some dumb stuff for, ego reasons. Coming in at rank 6, previously ranked 5, I have the Baltimore Ravens. I think a lot of people are starting to sleep on the Ravens. I've definitely been a huge advocate for the Ravens. I think they're kind of moving toward, however, I think they're moving towards they're getting too hurt beyond fixing. They just said that Marcus Peters might be... Is it Marcus Peters? I think it's Marcus Peters. They said that Marcus Peters might be out for an extended period of time. That is the timetable we have, and he is the last remaining line of defense in their secondary. If he's gone, I don't know, man. It's a shoulder injury, so we'll see. He might be out for the season. I know Jamal Adams is out for the season. I didn't mention that when we talked about the Seahawks, but I don't know. I think the Ravens are kind of moving to that point where they're injured beyond repair, and Lamar's got to stop it. He's got to figure it out. He's got to get back to, because he's playing better than his MVP year, the beginning of this year, and then he is just a turnover machine. I don't know what's happening to him, but I don't know if it's the offensive line deteriorating. I don't know what it is, but anyway, coming in at rank 5, previously ranked 6. This made me so mad this morning. I was listening to Nick Wright, and he's probably my least favorite analyst out there, if that's even what his title is. He was saying, this is where I'm people say something so dumb, and nobody calls him out on it. He was saying, would you rather a Chiefs team that puts up 30 points a game, and this is almost a direct quote, puts up 35 to 30 points a game, or would you rather a team that is the best defense in the NFL the past 2 months? This is twofold why this is the dumbest stance or take in the entire universe. Who have the Chiefs been playing defense against? It's been one impressive game against the Cowboys where they shut the Cowboys out. Other than that, bro, the Raiders, who dropped 30 on them, the Giants, who haven't scored a touchdown since week 7. And then here's the other side of the coin. That team that scores 35-30 every game, buddy, they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the past 2 years. Yes, I would rather that team. Are you kidding? Why fix something if it's not broke? And sure, the Chiefs were in a slump, but they're still the Chiefs, and they still have Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to lie. I got a little crazy and said they were going to miss the playoffs. But I'm an idiot for saying that. More often than not, I'm not afraid to call myself an idiot when I have been an idiot. But to say you would rather this Chiefs team than the one that has won a Super Bowl, or 2, been to a Super Bowl, that is ludicrous. That is you trying to sound smarter than you are, and now you sound like an idiot. Anyway, sorry. That got me all fired up. that like really just did not make me a happy camper when I heard that. I just want to pull up who the Chiefs played recently. All right, let's see this. They have played on their winning streak. Okay, so they beat the Giants to start it off. They beat Jordan Love by 6. They beat the Giants by 3. My bad. They blew out Vegas 41-14. They dropped 20 on Dallas. Dallas only scored 9. They went to a bye. And then the Broncos only scored 9. So their defense is playing well, but I would 100% want the team that puts up 35 a week and goes to the Super Bowl than freaking whatever Nick Wright, stupid big nose, said. Anyway, coming in at rank 4, previously ranked 4, got the Bucks. Bucks are good, man. Like, people were trying to say, like, oh, the Buccaneers might not be what they used to be. The Buccaneers might not make the playoffs. I just want to sound smarter than I am. Okay. Well, now that they're not the most injured team in football and Leonard Fournette is running the ball like his name is Derrick Henry, good luck stopping them. Like, that's all I have to say about them. Coming in at rank 3, previously ranked 3, I have the New England Patriots. I can't move the other two teams down because one of them was on a bye, and the other one just popped off this week, the Cardinals. Well, they just gave it away. That's the Cardinals. But the Patriots, I got a lot to say about them too, but this video is already 46 minutes long, and I mean, I guess I could just say it. It's my video, so whatever. Nick Wright, like, again, was trying to say, like, let's not forget, like, that Mac Jones, he's just not a bad quarterback. He's not as good of a quarterback as everybody thinks he is. And let's not be brainwashed that this was a good strategy by Bill Belichick to take the ball out of Mac Jones' hands. Let's not look past the fact that LeBron James is the GOAT and Bill Belichick and Mac Jones they're not good. They're a fringe playoff team. Like, these are the words that comes out of Nick Wright's mouth. And I don't know how he makes money. Like, I don't know how he makes money, to be completely honest with you. The dude said the Chiefs are the best team in football. Okay, so I guess the Green Bay Packers just died. Or the Arizona Cardinals just died. Or the New England Patriots just died. Or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just died, who beat them in the Super Bowl last year, and they're both the same teams. And again, one is more consistent than the other. It's more hurt than the other. But to go back to the Patriots. The Patriots just beat an AFC conference favorite throwing the ball 3 times. There is also, newsflash. Let me pull up this stat real quick because it's actually very important. The Patriots are where is it? Passing yards per game. The Patriots are it looks like 14th best passing offense. You want to get mad at Bill Belichick and take shots at Mac Jones for using a game plan that just beat a team that you want to get mad at Mac Jones for not throwing the ball. The other team only threw the ball. Who won the game? And you can make all the excuses. Well, if Josh Allen was just 2% more accurate with his pass, okay, but he wasn't because of the elements. Like, that's it. I'm not gonna get sidetracked, but Sean McDermott is the biggest crybaby in the NFL. Like, that is now known. That is fact. But anyway, let's talk about the Cardinals. I don't have too much to say about the Cardinals. They did play sloppy. Like, I'm not going to lie. They only put up, But for the Cardinals, it really is only 30-some points against the Bears, who threw 22 interceptions. But I'm going to give them slack because it was Kyler Murray's first game back in, 3 weeks? So I don't really got any complaints with them. And then coming in at rank 1, previously rank 1, you probably guessed it. It is the Green Bay Packers. They were on a bye this week. And, God, I'm an idiot because I said I don't believe in the Packers defense. Dude, the Packers defense, I know it was hurt, and I said it was hurt, so, I'll give it time. Dude, this defense is so. I mean, the Packers have had an easy schedule. I'm not going to take anything away from it. But in the games that were tough, this defense did not flinch. They're now getting Jair Alexander back. They're getting Sedarius White back. And they don't even have David Bakhtiari back yet on the offensive line. So, anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this week's Power Rankings. If you liked what you heard, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to be my friend, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to call me an idiot, that's fine. Just like, comment, subscribe. And check out our stuff. We got Instagram stuff, and we got Twitter stuff. And check out our podcast on Spotify or YouTube. But yeah, I mean, that's our Power Rankings video. Let me know in the comments where I was stupid, what you would have done, what you would have changed. But yeah, man, let me know. And I will catch you in the next video. Peace!